What's going on, guys? Welcome to Collecting Keys. I am Mike Hahn here with Dylan Cook today. No Dan. He just no-showed on us, and after 20 minutes of waiting, we had to get going. So, I don't know. Hope he's safe out there, buddy.
500 episodes and he was out. He's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, right. Surprise. After episode 500, Dan is no longer a part of the show. We will keep him on the cover. And Dylan, I saw your note. I actually did add you to the cover.
I listened to our 500th. Oh, did you? Oh. If I didn't say anything, who knows how long that would have went on?
No, I would have noticed it because I check the stats every week. And so when I logged on, I would have been like, oh, shit, I did it.
I don't re-listen to all of our episodes, but I did re-listen to 500, and I thought it was good.
Yeah, I thought it was a decent one. I've actually gotten some great feedback. I appreciate everyone that reaches out to me after some of those. And just to answer a couple questions. One, no, I'm not going to release the episode of the Stolen Valor guy. I know people were very interested in that, and it's just not going to happen. And two, I'm not going to share any more details about the sort of failed partnership that Dan really opened up about in the last episode, because there is a lot of like crossover social connections in there. A lot of people wanted like more details on that, I think, because people know the other parties that are involved. And message me directly, and maybe I'll tell you something, but I'm not going to talk about it on the show.
People just want dirt.
People did enjoy it. Now, like I'm all about spitting some dirt. It's tricky when it's like, you know, our like families know each other and it's a small town.
Sure.
You know, it makes it a little bit different. I mean, I'm more than happy to talk about it, just not in a public forum where people are unable to defend themselves. But either way, I mean, even then, when I talk about like public people, I talk shit on them. They are more than capable of defending themselves because they're putting themselves out there on a regular basis. So that when you become a public figure, you are voluntarily opening yourself up to criticism, whether you like it or not. And so I have no problem speaking out against kind of those people because they already know what they're doing.
I'll just echo that whole message.
Yeah. So either way, appreciate everyone tuned into that one. It was fun. It was fun to talk about some of the stories. And it's funny whenever we do those kind of things, it is funny to look back at like how much can happen in a really short period of time. Like it's funny. I was talking to Dylan actually right before the show, and I was like, oh yeah, talking about my old days when I left my job and I was working at the Jam kind of before our real estate stuff really started to take off. And I realized that I really only left that job like 6 years ago. That wasn't that long ago in the big picture thing. It was a little bit longer than that because it was right at the very beginning of 2020. And what really kind of like pushed me out of that entirely into real estate was when COVID happened. So that was March of 2020. And it's funny. It's one of those things that 6 years definitely doesn't feel like a long time. And if you look at how many things have transpired in 6 years, it's kind of crazy. Especially you always hear about like some of these bigger business owners that are doing things over like 10-year time horizon and that sort of stuff. And realistically, I mean, I haven't even been in business for that long. I mean, how long have you been a business owner at this point, Dylan? Like 22?
Technically it was October of 2021.
21. So, okay. Yeah. So be coming up on 5 years this year, you know, and you've done very well for yourself. One of my favorite sort of sayings and concepts is this whole view of like people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, they underestimate what they can do in 5. You can say that same thing with like any sort of bearing of time. It always tends to be true. But like that is such a true statement overall of like, you do stuff for long enough and you're intentional about it and you're not wasting your time doing dumb things, you can really grow relatively quickly.
Well, everyone, like the headlines are always like overnight successes, right? But in reality, no one sees the 15 years that it took to be the overnight success.
Well, totally. Well, even shorter, like people talk about how our lens lot business has grown. People always say like, I feel like you've really grown that so fast. So Lens Lot LLC was founded as a company at the beginning of 2022.
Yeah. So 4 years. Yeah. Over 4 years.
Yeah. And we did our first loan under INW Properties, because that was our wholesale company at the time, in November of 21. So we've been lending for almost 5 years, and we've really just started promoting it over the past couple of years, because that's really when, I mean, honestly, even just like this year, that's really when it started to like gain traction and actually have legs underneath it. But we spent from the beginning of 21, all of 22, all of 23, pretty much all of 24, doing these loans on the side that were like stupid loans to do to people, to our friends that were like max leverage, who weren't collecting interest. We're doing all like the dumb shit that you do when you don't know what you're doing. And we only had one oopsie, which is why we now own a freaking duplex in Baton Rouge. But like aside from that, we just got lucky, and we've had some of these deals with friends that did go sideways. They told us after the fact, but they paid us back because their reputation with us was worth more than the money that they lost on the deal. Right. Yeah. But that's not going to be the same for everybody.
If you were lending in 21, 22, I mean, there is still some runway with the market. Could have bailed out some of those deals anyway.
Yeah, totally, dude. 100%. Especially on some of the bigger ones. Oh, nice. Dan said, no, I'm out with me. He's playing golf. It's fun.
Wow, what a jerk off. Yeah. I wish I was golfing.
He said he forgot. Okay. You guys can message Dan and let him know. Like, that's fucked up. Same time every week. Just because, and if my audio sounds weird, I'm in California. Just because I left town like I regularly do doesn't mean the calendar changes. The calendar changes.
Not a different time zone. But, no. I mean, I hope he shoots over 100. I don't know if Dan's a good golfer or not.
He's not a good golfer. He will definitely shoot over 100. But he's athletic enough to figure it out.
Yeah. To your point about the lending, most of your time and focus was on the other part. Like lending was not 20% less, or like not even 20% of the businesses that you were doing.
No,
at the time
it was a true side gig, right? Like when we started doing that at the end of 21, we had noticed a decrease in properties that we were interested in holding, mostly because we were starting to see the values top out. And then in March of 22 was when we decided that we were going to start going virtual because we recognized how top heavy the market was in Spokane. And so at that point, we had accumulated a shit ton of cash and we just wanted yield on it. And so how it originally started is we were just doing loans for the deals that we were wholesaling. And the thing that was awesome about this, by the way, if you ever do a loan for a deal that you're wholesaling, is you collect an assignment fee from your own money, right? So let's say that you're generating a loan. It's for easy math. It's $100,000, a $100,000 purchase or whatever, the loan's $100,000. You're collecting a $30,000 assignment fee and it's charging 12% interest. You're going to go and get your $1,000 a month, right, on your $100,000 that you're sending out. But let's say you have a $30,000 assignment fee on there. That $30,000 is going to come back to your pocket. So you're basically collecting $1,000 a month on $70,000 that's out instead of on $100,000 that's out. So you can really juice your spread. And when we started doing that, we're the smartest fucking people in this industry. Like, why is it? And it turns out because most wholesalers are broke or they're flipping houses or doing other things. So we did that for like a while and it worked out pretty well. And then we started to do loans for other operators that we'd met kind of around the country just because we had a lot of cash.
You ever see wholesalers who are going to like flip it, or like they will wholesale it to themselves, but just via a different entity. So that way they can play with the purchase and rehab numbers to try to get the financing that they need.
I see people try to do it all the time. It always gets rejected because you're just basically trying to make it so you have no skin in the game.
Yes.
And years ago, like we would try to do that. There was always like a thing like, oh, we need operating capital. You can like kind of make your pitch. At this point, lenders are onto that. They don't want to.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I've seen people do it before, but it also will get flagged quite a bit.
So dude, the stuff, all this creative shit that people try to do to like have no money in the deal. If you're working with like a real lender and not just like rich guy Joe, it's not going to fly anymore.
Yeah.
Like the other thing that we see, like the Morby method bullshit where like you have the seller carry a second position after closing, but because we're following the course that we took out a 0% interest credit card to buy because you're fucking idiots, we're going to, have that on the dock so that like the person's secure. It's just like, that's never going to get approved by a lender because you're de-levering yourself and the whole point of these loans is they want you to have skin in the game so you don't just like walk away. And then if you decide to do that, you're going to leave us with this poor seller that you put in second that has no idea what's going on. They thought they were done with that property.
Yeah. Dude, there's how many loans lately or how many deals lately have come back with these COVID and HUD loans that the sellers like have no idea. One seller took out 5 different ones for a total of $46,000 over 4 years.
So I don't even know what this is. You put this in our notes and I've never seen this.
I think it is, but it's probably the same terminology. But the way I understand it is like if you have a loan with like US Bank, during COVID, you went and got like these COVID relief loans for like 6 or 7, 8
grand. Like the forbearance?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. But let's say your loan, for example, purposes was $150,000. You go to this COVID relief program or these HUD loans and say, hey, I can't pay my bills because of COVID. I need some money. And they're like, oh, well, we'll give you $10,000 cash up front, but then we're just going to take that $10,000 and put it on the back of your loan. Right. So now their loan's $160,000.
Yeah. So that was the forbearance that they were doing.
Right. How many of these I've seen lately are so crazy? And then the seller's like, oh, I didn't know I had that. I'm like, are you lying to me or are you really that oblivious?
So
like,
that's interesting that you're seeing a lot of those. We've seen a couple. I almost wonder if it was like market specific. I don't know. What's the average income in Cincinnati?
Oh, Cincinnati specifically, probably for a single person, probably 60, 70 grand.
That's higher than I thought.
Yeah. I mean, I could try to look it up. Our median home price is like about 300 on the nose.
Because out here, you just didn't see a ton of forbearance stuff. You still don't. But I mean, that is going to start coming back to bite people. Like a lot of people didn't realize when they were getting their loans. Like, I don't know why people don't understand this from the government. There's really no free lunch. You know, even like the free like stimulus checks that we all got, the payment for that is rapid fucking inflation that's now made everything more expensive forever now. So I hope you enjoyed your $2,000. Now you're just going to pay more money for everything.
Google AI says the median household income is $81,000 and median salary for individuals is $52,300. So $53,000.
Isn't that crazy? Can you imagine living on $50,000?
No, actually, I can't.
After taxes, that's like 36 or something, like 42 maybe. I don't know.
There's no way that people could like. I mean, shit. When I graduated college, I split rent like with 5 other guys, but still, like I bet I could have gone a 2-bedroom for like $800 a month. Now it's 12, 13, 1400 no matter what.
So crazy these days. Well, it's crazy how fast that changed too. Because like my first job that I got out of school, I was an engineer, and I got a $60,000 a year job, and I was like so rich at that point in time. This was 2013. You know, I could do anything. But now that's like barely even like enough to get by. It feels like my first apartment as well was I think $650. That was like nice.
Right. It was funny because like when the new guys are buying shit and they're underwriting rents at being like, let's say it's $950,000, and the old guys are sitting there like, you're not gonna ever get those rents, and then we're way blew past all of that.
I know so much. Yeah.
But hey, I mean that sometimes experience can bite you in the ass, and if you have your bias like that.
Yeah. And well, that's the thing is people use experience to predict the future, and people tend to not understand that past success is not equal future success every single time.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is about human psychology, how you always seem to ignore that. You know, like there's so many things that are like around investing and stuff like that, of like everything always goes up and to the right, which like, I guess it has been that way for like a while. But if you look over the history of all time, there's a lot of shit that kind of just went down and disappeared forever.
Oh yeah. Like most businesses.
Yeah. There was that. Well, most businesses, right? Or like fucking countries, nations. Like there was that thing for like a long time. I was like, how often do you think about the Roman Empire, which was like the weirdest trend ever.
Yeah.
But to the point that was like the biggest thing ever. And now it's gone entirely.
I forget what I was going to say to that. I wanted to round out the focus conversation, like to your lending, how people say you've grown so quickly, but that's because now you're like, it's 100% of your focus now, right? As a personal anecdote to that, like I basically was following yours as footsteps. I was like, yeah, lending sounds awesome. I'll lend out some of my own money. Wholesaling sucks. And I started to lend out some money and they've gone well. I'm just like, but I don't really enjoy it. It is much more work than I want, especially if you want to scale it. Like you can lend out your own money and that's perfectly fine.
It's a lot of work. Dude.
And then so I was like, so I took the eye off the ball for the off-market business for a while. And then I'm like, where's my money at? But anyway, long story short, is like, I've dove back into the off-market business a lot the past couple of weeks. And now we have 8 deals in escrow, maybe 9 after this next one. And it just shows the power of like intention, focus, and also shows that I didn't have as solid a business as I thought, because I was still like, have my AM guy. I still have my other people on my team. They just weren't doing deals if I wasn't there.
Yeah. I mean, that's nice though, at least that you were established enough that you can just jump right back into it. Because I think where people really get bit is when they are like 1 year in or they're 6 months in or whatever. And they're like, oh, well, I'm going to go and try to do this other thing now. That's where you get into like the perpetual entrepreneur that never actually does anything.
Yeah.
So are you still lending? Are you still planning to do that? Or are you going to be done with that altogether?
I think I'm done with it. At least putting it on the back burner for now. Like I canceled the software subscription, or I put it on hold. I told the attorneys to hold off. I'm very pocket committed to this too. Like it is 5 figures of money that I've put into it.
Yeah, just come join our loan cavalry. Like
I'm not doing that.
it's low commitment. Just like seriously, you can just give them your deals. I'll give you the pricing tool. You just price it what it has to be. You can have your VA freaking do it for you.
This is live negotiation on the pod.
You'll
It's
make
not
money.
happening, Mike.
Because if you do that, I'll pay you half a point per loan instead of just a couple $100.
Just doing the math in my head.
You're thinking about it. That's a decent chunk of money that you'll get there pretty quick. Hey, that's $1 million a month. It's a decent little bit that you'll make every single one.
We'll talk about it after. A lot of my buyers have their own preferred lenders already, but that's the whole gist of doing it.
Yeah, because they haven't met Sir Lenz-a-Lot yet, Dylan.
Sure.
Yeah, we already do like half the loans in your freaking city anyway. It might be tough to squeeze out anymore.
Yeah, you're welcome. I feel like I helped with that a lot.
Yeah,
with the connections.
Then you took it away. It's all right. Scotty can go back to us if you start doing loans.
Yeah, he's not even here today.
Yeah, that's how it goes though. That's pretty sweet though. You're able to turn it back on. And so I guess going forward, is that your plan? You're going to try to just optimize your wholesale business a little bit better again so you can be less drained by it? Or
yeah, and I honestly, I once some of the money started coming back in, I'm like, oh, this isn't so bad. I just needed some revenue to change the mindset a little bit. But
yeah, that is the nice thing. And so like the good thing about the lending business is it's a much more consistent revenue, right? Like you don't have like the wild swings. But the downside of it is like there's literally no way that we could just all of a sudden have $200,000 in revenue.
Right.
It's not feasibly possible at all because we wouldn't even have the capacity to produce the number of loans in like such a short period of time. Even if we somehow found like a borrower, say, that had, how much in loans would that be? That'd be like 20 million in loans for us to do that. If they said, hey, I want to get $20 million in loans from you, just the actual processing of that much paper, we don't have the capacity for it. So it's not possible.
Yeah. Right. And I'm sure there's a delta in what you can make per loan. Obviously on price, the what you negotiate with who you sell to, all that kind of stuff. But that range is probably, I would say, thousands of dollars, not tens of thousands of dollars, which can obviously happen in the wholesale business. So.
Yeah. And on average, what we actually make as a company is between 2.5% to 4% per loan.
Okay.
Right. If you include the yield spread, the points, that's net after considering all the overhead, the commissions that we pay, everything else. And that's kind of industry standard, right? Like if we were a true like balance sheet lender and we kind of just like did things super different, or we were like some of these lenders that are like, I only lend to idiots and they do 14 and 4 because they have no credit and they're desperate. We would potentially make more, but that would be balanced out by our losses we would ultimately take.
Yeah. That's the scary thing about loans. The more I was doing it, and we issued with co-lenders like over $3 million of loans. And I'm like, okay, you make a couple grand per loan. Let's say you make 20 grand a loan. One deal goes sour, like could wipe out all of your profits.
The downside risk is huge. People don't understand
all of your profits. Yes. Yeah.
Like not only that, it can knock out your principal if you're really doing dumb stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily, the people who we lent to, I know have all great personal balance sheets. To your point earlier, like if the deal flunked out, they would still be able to make it whole.
Yeah. See, and that matters. That's what matters more than anything.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The industry will be changing a lot. We got approval from one of our institutional investors to do 100% financing today. So basically, that means if you came to us and you want 100% financing, the requirements are relatively strict. You need to have 720 credit, have done 10 plus deals in the last 36 months. It has to be basically like a light or medium reno. So you can't be doing like 100% financing to do like a passive addition.
Yeah. So
the credit alone knocks out most of the borrowers that claim they need 100% financing because, goddamn, some of you guys that are professionals, your credit's trash. Get that shit figured out. But the fact that we now have an institutional investor that like essentially would provide us funds for it, and we're not a broker, we're a direct lender. And so basically how it works is we would fund the loan, we can sell it to them, which traditionally hasn't existed with 100% financing. With the 100% financing stuff, it's always been like it's balance sheeted. Even if you're using like one of the big guys like Kiavi or whatever, they're balance sheeting that loan with their own private investors. So now that we have a third party that's willing to come and buy that debt is really, really interesting. And I would say it is the ultimate sign of like a very, very frothy market in private credit. They're getting desperate.
It's a battle to what? For fees and leverage, right? There's really only two avenues you can go down.
Yeah. They're getting desperate to fill their warehouse line or whatever their liability is that they're paying every single day.
Yeah, that makes sense. It is weird, a little off topic or not, but like once you're around a bunch of wealthy people, how much of them are able to utilize their own balance sheet for better credit?
Mhm.
Like you can go get an asset backed loan for 4 or 5% right now if you have like a shit ton in like the S&P 500.
Yeah.
And like that's not a lot of thing that normal people can do. And they're like, so it just kind of perpetuates the wealth gap because those same people can go borrow at 4 or 5% backed on thing that's usually going up in price anyway. So their leverage automatically goes down just on the math.
Well, that's always kind of one of the big things about why so many of the billionaires don't pay taxes, right? Is they get all that money on debt off of their stock in SpaceX, right? But if things happen, like SpaceX dropping down to, is it 135 now, taking a massive shit off the high, eventually you can get that called, which would be funny. But there's any risk there.
I just want to be vindicated because someone messaged or commented on our reel and said that
this age
my
like
take
milk.
Age like milk.
Yeah.
And all it needed was 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, so now it's below the IPO price.
Dude, stuff like that. Like it's so akin to gambling these days. It's crazy. There was something, it was a Chris Williamson post. You know that guy? He has the Modern Wisdom podcast.
Yeah. I don't listen to it, but I like all of his skits on my Instagram.
I'll pretty much listen to only his Hermosi episodes, even though they're like 9 hours long. But I do like his follow on Instagram because he'll post these little like musings. But he posted this one the other day. This is very prevalent to this. And I also think that this explains like the current investing environment a lot. But it said Americans are more likely to place a gambling bet than read a single book. Okay. And it said fewer than half of adults reported having read a book of any kind since 2022. Only 38% had read a novel or short story, whereas 50% of Americans had placed a bet.
I believe that.
Right. And when you look at like the state of investing right now, I feel like that is, if we included that, it would be even higher.
Oh, 100%. But I think it goes back to the affordability thing. People don't want to just put a couple $100 in an index fund every month. They want to hit the next meme coin that takes their $10 to $10,000 because that's the only way they feel like they can get ahead.
Dude, you want to know what's the craziest thing ever that I've seen right now? So I follow a subreddit that is not like Wall Street Bets, but it's kind of similar. And what people will do on here, there's like all these massive chats about it. They will basically trade, quote unquote, Bitcoin 15-minute prices. So basically what you can do is you can be like, in the next 15 minutes, Bitcoin's going to be above or below like 65,140. And it'll have odds. And they basically sit there all day and they just like do that.
My God.
And it's like just flipping a coin. And like they'll 100%. Have these people that build out like these bots that basically go and do it. I'm like, you're just degenerate gamblers. Like you should just go and bet on like rock, paper, scissors. Like, what are you doing?
Let's go to the casino and throw it on black. I mean,
I
Jesus.
know.
Like I was listening to a podcast yesterday and it was the guy being interviewed was an old Wall Street trader, but like this was forever ago where they're actually still on like the trade floor to execute trades, not like digitally. And he's like, I remember like even back in that time, like it shut off at 4 o'clock. Mm-hmm. Like it wasn't until the invention of the BlackBerry that we were interconnected 24/7. And then he went on like how bad that is for even traders because now they're trying to time Asian markets at 8 o'clock at night and they're waking up and doing Tokyo at, and they're just like going all over these places and you're never not connected, which is even true in our wholesale business. If I get an RE Simply notification at 7 o'clock at night, now my mind's thinking about that.
Yeah. Dude, I remember back in 2017 when I was super into like the whole crypto thing. That was when you had all like the ICOs and different stuff, which was essentially gambling at its finest back then. And you could like very regular, there would be like a new coin every week that went up like 2,000%. Like did crazy shit. But I had my like Coin Market app and I was so fixed on it because I was exactly that person. I hadn't left my career yet. I was like so just like I need like something that's going to lift me out. And I had some coins that went huge. Like I think my total buy-in on a couple was like $5,000 and I would get like 84, like 90,000.
Oh, nice.
Of course, I never fucking sold them. So I just lost them.
Yeah.
But like I would like wake up in the middle of the night because it was 24 hours and I would go and I would see that one had like dropped like 18% like while I was sleeping. And then you go on Reddit and everyone would be like, oh, well, China just announced this. So all the Chinese people are selling. And there was just this nonsense constantly.
Yep. It's all noise, man. It's no way that's good for your brain.
No, not at all. Anyways, you said you sold one of your properties, Dylan. Finally.
I did. Sold a 6-unit 2 days ago.
I'm actually surprised that you sold a 6-unit of all things. I feel like the multifamilies has kind of been your jam for a while.
Yeah, no, it is. I think we don't really own any. We own one single family and one condo, but all the rest are a couple duplexes, a couple quads, a 6-unit. Well, just sold a 6-unit, 8-unit, and a 13-unit. And they all cash flow much better than the smaller properties do. But I basically sold it because I put it out there for a price I thought was stupid and someone paid it. And then the return on equity for that was pretty low.
Yeah.
I took full depreciation on that 2 years ago, so I'm going to have to pay that back.
Yeah.
But we've already bought 2 other places this year, so I should offset that quite a bit. And then I'm just taking the equity. I'm going to place it in other stuff that has a higher yield.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you have to do, right? If you're like a serious investor, you need to be analyzing performance, moving stuff around. That's like kind of I know we've pushed on this a lot, but the whole hold forever sort of thing, just like it can make sense to be a real estate person forever and build that up, but you have to scale up or like level up at some point. If you just hold on to the same home forever, essentially is a depreciating asset in the way that the actual property, sure, it might appreciate in value, but the thing falls apart.
Yeah.
There's no way to avoid that. That's just how it was, the law of entropy. Everything moves towards chaos.
And this was definitely like, it was a C neighborhood. It was like everything else I know is now in better parts of town. It was on a boiler, so we had to pay for the heat, which was always annoying. But I mean, there's not much other to it than it was just like, we're looking at the portfolio, looking at like portfolio architect. The loan was in like the 7s because I got this in like, late 2024. So got rid of like some of my higher debt that's on the balance sheet, and then just redeploying the capital is all it comes down to.
Nice. Is the return on equity like the primary thing that you look at every month? You look at that more so than like cash on cash?
No, I would say cash on cash is probably the number one metric I look at for buying rentals, but return on equity is part of that calculation.
Yeah. At what point, like when you calculate your cash on cash, if you put extra money into the deal, say you have to replace a furnace, do you update your cash number?
Yes. Because I feel like you should.
You should, for sure. But a lot of people don't. Yeah. Like a lot of people, they will only consider like the down payment that they put, and that becomes their cash on cash forever. A lot of people don't even consider like the points and fees on their loan or like the closing costs.
Yeah, that's dumb. There should be like total money invested in the deal should be your denominator.
Even though it's eternal, right? So like at what point, because your cash into the deal will always go up. There's no way to avoid that. The equity will also go up, assuming debt pay down and stuff stays flat.
My counter to that would be, Mike, what if you just said, like, let's say that place cash flows $1,000 a month, and instead of counting it as cash in the deal, you are just saying, okay, I put in a $5,000 furnace. It wiped out 5 months of cash flow. Now my P&L is just smaller. I guess it just was on the accounting that you do with it.
Sure. Yeah. There's no right or wrong answer. One of the things that I've really started to realize is how incorrectly a lot of people view their returns on their real estate because they're tied to these fixed metrics that actually change a lot. And they never update the big picture. They never actually consider what is the market value today, not when you bought it and you put it on your spreadsheet 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What is the actual sales cost of this property?
Yeah.
Because it costs money to sell a home. If you sell it and you pay capital gains tax, how much are you actually paying in tax at that point in time? That all should go into your actual equity calculation that you're giving credit to yourself.
I agree with you, but no one does that.
Literally nobody does that, 'cause they're all lying.
Especially if they're like submitting a PFS to like a bank or a lender, right?
Yeah.
Like,
so I did this exercise a few months ago with my GoPod, and my net worth dropped 35%. It was very, very significant. It was extremely humbling.
Which, if you count in the taxes are a big part of that.
Yes.
Right? I mean, it's a minimum 20%, probably even higher. But then, the depreciation recapture, everything else, and the sales costs. I mean, if you're paying realtor to even do it, that's automatic. In closing costs, 8% off of that. Mm-hmm. So just do closing costs and taxes, you're 28, 30%. So there's your number right there. Yeah,
it's super significant. But like it was a hard pill to swallow, but it's important that if you actually feel everything, how much would you actually have? Otherwise, it doesn't matter. I might as well just go and like take my bank statement and just like write a different thing on there with a marker.
Actually, I'll ask you a question here that I had pop in my head the other day. I mentioned it on episode 500. We have those 12 units, which are 4 buildings. Mm-hmm. Well, at the end of that loan, and I go to refinance with a traditional lender, wouldn't it be wise to take, like the loan value will be around $1 million, and I could probably only leverage, I have a really low LTV on all 4 if I put them all in the same loan together, or have a higher LTV on 3 of the 4, have 1 free and clear, and then I could use that to get like a HELOC or something on it and then lend out with that 4th one.
You could, assuming you have a good HELOC provider or something like that. That's what I've come to find is it's pretty challenging to get HELOCs on rentals.
But even it's 50% LTV, like, you could do something like that.
You could. I mean, there's people that have done that aggressively, and that's like their whole strategy, right? Is they basically use that HELOC to almost take like a cash advance on like future revenue. Because what you do is you can, while you're not using it, you're banking a ton of cash flow, use it when you need it. And then once you use it, you take all business revenue, all cash flow, and you pay it down super, super aggressively. And so what that allows you to do is basically take that, say it's 200 grand as an example, to pull that now instead of needing to save it over a period of time.
Yeah. My thought process was I could just, instead of having a low LTV on 4 properties that sure, like, but the total equity amount really isn't changing.
Yeah.
It's just I'm able to free up a property to then hopefully provide additional income, which that would be harder if I didn't have that free and clear.
Yeah. I mean, you could. It just depends on what your goal is. Like, do you want to have that fixed rate debt? Do you mind having the alternating debt? Do you want that more cash flow?
Right.
Because also, too, the thing with HELOCs is that's not 30-year fixed either. Like, especially if it's for a rental property, I would imagine it would be maybe a 5-year balloon.
Probably.
Or a 10-year balloon. Yeah. Or like I have a HELOC on my primary that I'll use for stuff. But that's basically, it's adjustable for 10 years. And then at 10 years, it fixes. And I have to basically reapply for it or I have to pay it down.
Yeah. There's still 6 years left on this loan. So this could all change by the time I have to. It wouldn't make any sense to refinance before that because it's at such a low interest rate.
Well, awesome. I mean, there's always different places to go bad. I had a great philosophical question. I'm going to save it for next time because I want Dan to talk about it. I'll share it with you afterwards so you can think about it and we can ambush Dan with it.
Oh, sounds good.
But I've really been doing a lot of thinking around like that kind of stuff and like wealth and how people actually view like what that means. Because like the main thing that I've sort of realized over the past couple of years is, I say especially like the past like year where stuff has gotten challenging for people, is how many people's personal worths they put in their balance sheet and how silly that is, because realistically, most people that are like kind of like in our shoes have had a little bit of success over the past couple of years. They can currently live the lifestyle that they want to live. They are actively choosing not to for some reason. And it doesn't make sense to me. Typically, it's out of fear. It's out of like lack of belief in themselves. It's out of like, I don't know, they've prioritized the wrong things. And so they've kind of like over leveraged themselves in the short term. But there was when I was in TSA yesterday, this girl in front of me, I was just overhearing their conversation while we were waiting. And she asked this question. I was like, that's really good. I'll ask you guys on the podcast tomorrow. But then fucking Dan didn't show up. So,
you know, what's crazy to me, and then we'll wrap up. There's some people out there that if you were to say, hey, you'll have a true $10 million net worth, but no one knows who you are. Or you could have a $1 million net worth, but you're Instagram famous. Most people would take the second one.
You think like so? The $1 million?
I mean, that's just what it feels like lately. It blows my mind that they would rather be Instagram famous or be an influencer over actually having the real wealth.
It's funny. I would say that is your bias from the fact that we have a podcast and we're kind of in that circle, because I would say that most people would take the other one. Yeah, like if you went into a room with like 200 random people from all walks of life, they would probably take the second.
No, here's my point. All of them are going to say they'll be the 10 million ones, but I don't know if they actually would, I guess is my point.
Okay, so if it was like a blind test, like they got to go and anonymously do it.
Yeah,
that would actually be interesting. I wish we had like a big enough following that we could do something like that was substantial.
There's a logical answer there that people are like, well, I don't want to look dumb, so I'm going to say this. But
yeah, so I will say, I'll wrap up with this. One of the things that's been very refreshing as we've sort of transitioned more into the lending business, which is like an old school kind of business. When you're in the real estate business, a lot of the people that you meet that are successful, whether it's at meetups, whether it's at conferences, whatever, they are either, they've been around forever. So, you know, they bought 2008. It's like, oh yeah, no shit, you're rich. Like you did it at the right time. They've been around a long time. Or they're like so into like the guru, the brand, whatever, that definitely like propelled their growth. You don't really meet a ton of people that have like, hey, I like round out a thing and I've been, that's just a minority. And so people tend to think like, oh, well, I can't control the 2008 aspect, so I got to be an influencer, right? And that's what will get me successful. In the lending space, which is like old school money, We go to these things, we meet these people. It's like, yeah, maybe they've been in the industry for, let's say 10 years, 2016, like a little while, like a long time, but not crazy long. They have never made a TikTok in their life, and they're freaking rolling.
Right.
Their business is so successful. They built it out super traditionally. They generate leads. They built a company. They found investors. They went to the country club. They did all things. Like, I'm not even, my social media friends, followers that are lending people, 0. I have people that I've seen at so many conferences that I've never even seen on social media. I don't know if they have one.
Right.
Because that's just not a part of the industry. And I think that's a lot of industries, like how many people are out there that have like successful plumbing businesses are big on TikTok? Not very many.
Not very many.
And
the ones that are probably just got bought by private equity and they're right anyway.
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword too, because there is something to be said for personal brand, like in getting yourself out there and people know who you are. But at the same time, it's definitely not a prerequisite to be successful.
No, and like that's kind of Alex Hormozi's whole thing with why he started his brand is because he was crushing it. Like here's the thing is he was already crushing it at a point when he got into social media that every single person that we've ever met would be so stoked with that.
Yes.
He was taking home $1 million a month in pay, like talks about all these things, right? He'd already sold for whatever, but then he like saw, I forget the one he always talks about. It's it was the one that became like the youngest billionaire.
Oh, the Kardashian woman, wasn't it?
Yeah. Is that who it was? Yeah, either way.
That's what I thought it was.
Sold it for like $1 billion. And he was like, what the hell? And so it's purely because of her brand. And then Rock sold like Terramana was worth a ton. George Clooney sold his tequila thing for a bunch of money. Ryan Reynolds sold was like a scotch thing, whatever it was, all because they had this brand. And so it can absolutely give you multiples more. But here's the thing is like for most of us that would be more than happy just making a couple $1 million a year, you don't need to do that shit.
Yeah.
Honestly.
No, that's true. No, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Hormozi has made more money than collectively any of us will probably make in our lifetimes.
Absolutely, dude. And a lot of that was before he had the brand and everything else. Anyways.
And that's okay. I don't want to be Alex Hormozi. So
no, I don't either. He never seems very happy.
Yeah.
And even meeting him in person, exactly the same. A lot of those people, they never really seem that inherently happy. I think that's why a lot of them, they end up posturing and they try and do like, here I am with my family, but they're like never smiling with their family, They're like, all right, we need the picture of me riding the lawnmower with the kids so I can make the family post.
Throws him off. And it's like, oh, done with this shit.
Go over there. Go see your mom.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right, man.
Cool.
You good?
Yep. Thanks for hanging out, buddy. Dan, bet you shoot over 140 today. And
that's a rough score.
He's not a great golfer. But it's all right. Maybe we'll forgive you next time. But either way, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll talk to you guys next week.
See ya.
This episode is sponsored by Sir Lancelot LLC, also known as SLA Capital, which, if you didn't know, is Dan and I's private lending company. So yes, we are sponsoring our own show, but what you going to do about it? It is our private lending company that offers hard money and DSCR loans to real estate investors of all types. So you can be a new investor, an experienced investor. You can be buying flips. You can be buying rentals, whatever. We can do everything. And not only that, but the rates that we offer are just as competitive, if not cheaper, than pretty much every other company out there. So whatever big company you've been working with, bring us their term sheets and I guarantee that we can probably beat it. We have the same connections they do. We just don't have all the overhead and middlemen. So if you want to come and check us out, go to slacapital.com/keys and I will know that you came from the show. And by seeing that you came from here, when you get to closing, you will save $500 on your first loan with us. So slacapital.com/keys, we would love to fund your next deal. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you want more from us, you can shoot us a follow on Instagram. I am at Mike_invest. Dan is at InvestorMan Dan. And Dylan is at Dylan_does_deals. Shoot us a follow and send us a DM to let us know what you think of the show.